Hey folks, welcome to chapter 12, step number 5, the footer and the copyright information. So let's just jump in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to preview a page to show you what we're going to be updating. So we'll open up the index page. All the pages in the site use the footer and the copyright, so it really doesn't matter which one we look at. But as a good practice, as we're updating a library, we're updating library components. Really good idea to open up a page and preview a page ahead of time anyway, so you can watch the progress as you make changes. We're going to be changing down at the very bottom of the page the copyright information and the footer left, footer center, and footer right. So let's just jump into Dreamweaver. I'll close down the index page, we don't need that open, and we'll go to the library. In the library we have a footer folder. In there we have the copyright and the 3 footer sections. So open the copyright up to start with. It's a simple piece of text. It's wrapped in a paragraph tag, or it's formatted as a paragraph. New copyright, and really that's all you need to do. And when you're said and done, if you select the information on the page, it should show formatted as a paragraph down below in the properties panel. So you can pretty much put whatever you want in there, save it to update. Now the fun begins when we get into the footer left. Let's start with that one. Up here we have an H3 formatted title, and down below a simple bullet list with text that is linked to different pages in the site. You can really do whatever you want in terms of the number of characters and the size of the list. I would suggest picture or view it in your page, see how much white space is sort of available, keeping in mind that there's probably a little bit of padding. And it's best not to wrap these if you can. You don't want to have so much information that wraps onto a second line. It just doesn't look that sharp because we're using these little icons here. It would sort of put things aesthetically, it would sort of knock things out of balance, if you want to call it that. So that's why we've used a very small font. And you could probably use twice as many characters as you see here, but I would suggest that you just sort of give yourself a little bit of an idea as to how many characters you can go with, and try not to make it wrap onto a second line. And the only way you can do that is by experimenting. All right, so up here we have an H3 tag. You select new heading, okay, and make sure that it's wrapped or formatted as an H3 tag. If you don't, what'll happen is this cool little icon and the nice font size and font color, it'll be totally different. It'll look like something else and it won't display correctly. And down below we have a regular bullet list. You just new list text, and when you're done with that, select it and use the link tool to point to whatever page in your site you want that particular link to point to, just like so. And that's all you need for the footer left. Footer center, a little bit different. We've got also the H3 tag, very important. Then we follow that by a paragraph tag. So whatever text you have in here, just make sure it's formatted as a paragraph. And then we have the Facebook, the Twitter, LinkedIn, MySpace, and RSS feed icons. Now these are pretty simple icons, and they link to what your Facebook account, your Twitter account, and this is where you'd use the link tool or the little browse to file tool, where you can actually type in a URL for your icon down below. So the simple way to update these is just select it, click on the little folder list where it says link, click on the little browse to file, and then down here in the URL, just add / my Twitter, yeah right, I can't even spell it, account, whatever your Twitter account is. The same thing you would send to your friends to go to your Twitter page, that or whatever. When you signed up for Twitter, they would have sent you an email saying here's a link to your page. That's what you type in there, or copy and paste in there, right? Same with an RSS feed, MySpace, and whatnot. If you don't want these icons, piece of cake. Select the icon you want to remove, right? Go to the image social icon, the A tag right beside it, so image social icon and the A tag. Click on the A and delete. That removes everything cleanly from the page. Let's move on to the footer right. Now this one is where I like to caution folks to be very careful, and the reason being is because you can't really tell on the page is we use 4 special icons for the address, the contact, telephone number, and the email, and you can't really see them in the page, right? They're not styled in the library page themselves. But let me show you what I'm talking about. See, we have this house icon, the telephone, the mail envelope and the person icon. These are all special icons that will line up beside your information over here. And how you can tell is when you put your cursor anywhere on this first line, down below it says address. Over here, if I click on any one of the telephone digits, it says phone. I click here, it says email, and down below it says contact. So you just want to make sure when you select this information, you select the entire line carefully, and then you type in your new address. Right? Just maintaining or making sure that the address class is still applied to that list item. Right? So it's one of those things, if you knock it out of place and go, oh, I need that back, make sure that you don't do one of those, knock it out of the way with your cursor things. Just use the Control Z, go back to where it was, and then select it and type it in again. And up top, you just have a simple H3 formatted title. Then we have a paragraph, and a bullet list with each list item that has a special class assigned to it. And you can always take a look in the code, and you'll see that it says class of address, phone, email, and contact. So, I mean, worst case scenario, if something goes off the rails, you can just copy that library page back in and start over again. It just takes a minute to update. So.